In order for us, it seems to me, to be good stewards of our lives, we need to approach thinking about our lives through some lens. That is, how will we think about the phenomena of our lives? And I would like to propose this morning, and obviously the theme of the retreat, that we think about our lives through the lens of vocation. That we allow the language of vocation, the concept, the theology of vocation, to shape and inform how we seek to be stewards of the life that God has given to us. And as Professor Packer indicated, by vocation we mean calling. That is, that we ask the following question: can I live my life in response to the initiative of God? Can I live my life in response to the calling of God? That what I do in the world, with my hands, with my head, with my life, is lived in response to the calling of God upon my life. And that we recognize that God has both created us, God has both created us and redeemed us. And that thus God has a certain priority in our lives. That God is the one who has created us, and He has created us in a way that is congruent with His goodness, His mercy, His compassion, and that God, in redeeming us, also calls us to do good work. And good work is work that brings glory to Him. Although I love the phrase that I just heard from Jim Packer, that it's honest work. It's honest work that we do to the glory of God. But the challenge we have is this: that when we view our work through the lens of vocation, it means that we're going to think theologically about the nature and character of our work, that which God has called us to do. The challenge we have is that we live in a society, you and I, even though we live on opposite sides of the Pacific, that has a very different notion of what represents good, authentic, or as Jim Packer put it, honest work. And so we seek to do our work and live our lives against the context of pressures all around us. There are the pressures of family, the expectations of parents, and not just our immediate parents, father and mother, but the expectations of family systems. And you know as well as I, perhaps you even know better than I do, that pressures from family can be huge. We may say, I think God is calling me to do this, but up against us is this huge phenomena of a family system, of a father or a mother, and their expectations, which can be powerful. That is, they can actually be undermining and not necessarily reinforce the sense we have from God. There's also the pressure that comes from the cultures in which we live and work. And there's a huge pressure in your culture and in mine to live one's life successfully, to move up the corporate ladder, to in a sense be able to say that if your life counts, it's because at the end of the trajectory you are the chief executive officer. And if you only made it as far as vice president and then you died, well, too bad. You didn't make it to the very top. You didn't have a life that was as significant as the person on the other side who managed to become the chief executive officer of the corporation. That is, we live with cultural pressures of success, notions of success, that are very, in a sense, very current, very much a part of our daily conversation. We live with it continually. From everything from what kind of car do you drive? What kind of condo do you live in? What kind of salary package do you have? Notions of success, notions of significance that are all around us. We've been raised as part of the very air that we breathe. And now, in this little room, we're going to try to have a notion of vocation that is theologically and biblically informed. And can we negotiate vocation in the midst of all of those pressures, on the one side from our family systems, on the other side from our culture and society? I'm convinced that we will only be able to do this, that I'm only able to do it in midlife. I'm only able to negotiate the world of work with some kind of theological integrity if I have good conversation partners. Yes, I'm a steward of my own life, but I can't negotiate this alone. I cannot negotiate this world alone. I need good conversation partners, good friends who are advisors and counselors to me. You need two kinds of conversation partners. I'm convinced of this. You need both your peers, that is, women and men, but typically there'll be people of the same gender. What I need is 2 or 3 men of my own age who are my peers, with whom I'm in regular conversation about vocation, work, and career questions. And I'm also convinced that you need people who are a generation older than yourself, That is, you need intergenerational conversation as well. And I can testify to you, I can testify to it personally, how invaluable, indeed I would not be here today, were it not for 2 or 3 older men, a generation older than myself, with whom I'm in regular conversation about issues of vocation, work, and career, as they help me navigate these waters, as they share the wisdom of their experience and pass it on to me, even as I now invest my life in a generation of individuals who are my son's age. My sons are 28 and 30. And the value that comes from intergenerational conversation, it's hard to overstate how significant that is.